Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little pendant. It's quite a simple one with a nice little dangly on the bottom. You can make these as earrings if you want to. I did make some. I haven't finished them yet. I haven't made my ear wires yet. But the two are just identical, so you just make two of the same thing. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need to make this, along with links to my Etsy shop, which is where you'll find the finished jewellery and the written tutorials, my Facebook and my Instagram. To make this pendant, you'll need 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge, and I've got two lengths at 11 inches, which is 28 centimeters, and one length at 6 inches, which is 15 centimeters. I've got 0.3mm weaving wire, which is 28 gauge, and you'll need about 200 centimeters. Weigh mine onto a bobbin. If you don't have a bobbin, you can just cut lengths as you go. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. You need a little tiny cabochon. Mine is 5mm flat back. You can use a cubic zirconia if you prefer, or you could use a slightly different size stone if you like. I wouldn't go much bigger than 7mm really for it to hold in the wire. Tools, I've got pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have these, don't worry, I just use these for flattening the weaves and straightening the wires. I'm also going to use bail pliers. If you don't have bail pliers, don't worry, because you can always just use your fingers. It's to shape the bail at the top of the pendant. So take your two longer wires, and we're going to start about 4 inches from the beginning of the wires. So take your weaving wire. We'll have 3 wraps around that bottom wire. We'll have 3 wraps around both wires. And you want to repeat that till you've got 10 repeats. 3 wraps around the bottom wire, 3 wraps around both wires. So I've done 10 repeats of that weave. Cut that tail end off. And take the bottom wire. We're going to scoop that around. All the way around. To make a loop. And then carry on with the weave we were doing before. So we've got 3 wraps around the bottom wire, 3 wraps around both wires, and we want to put 10 repeats on this side as well. So I've done 10 repeats on that side too. So now I'm going to bend these weaves around to make a loop, and we want them to bend around same kind of size, and we want this to be in the middle at the bottom. So you want a nice loop. that. And where they meet at the top, you want to bend them out. So now we're going to work across all 4 wires at the top here. So you want to pull all 4 wires so they're all sat next to each other and they're all pretty central. So take your weaving wire over the second wire and up between first and second wires, and you want to go over the third wire, make sure they don't pull too close together, and then come up between the second and the third wire, over the top, come up between those 2 top wires, so then you go around the top wire, come up between the middle 2 and around the third wire, come up between the bottom 2 and around that second wire, under the bottom wire and around the bottom wire. So that's our repeat. So you want to just keep repeating that. I'll do it again. So you go around the bottom 2 and around the middle 2, around the top 2, around the top wire, around that third wire, around the second wire, and around the bottom wire. So you're wrapping 2 wires on the way up and then 1 wire on the way back down. And you keep doing repeats of that. So I've done that weave for about 2 centimeters, 2.5, sort of that kind of size. And push your weave together as you're working. So you want to finish with a few wraps around the 1 wire just to secure the weave. I'll cut that wire, just flatten the end around a bit. So I'm going to use my bail pliers, and I'm going to use quite a small size. You can really use whatever you want. You can do whatever you want here. You could just bend this round with your fingers if you want to. If you want to do earrings, then I think you need to match them up, so you need to then use bail pliers or something that you can use on the other one as well. So if you've got like a little miniature pen, a knitting needle, crochet hook, a little paintbrush or something, just so you can match them up. So I've just bent that straight over there, trying to get it level. And then I'm going to take the wires at the back, I'm going to push the weave together. I'm going to pull the wires over the front. And then I'm going to bend the wires over the front of the weave. And scoop it around carefully. Try and get a nice scoop in that there. Do the same with this one. Trying to get it to match. Try and get the scoops the same size. That's my dog Gracie snoring, if you can hear her. Might put a little bit more curve on the one. So we've got that shape. Then I'm going to take the wires one at a time. Now you need to, if you want to, as soon as you're happy with the shape at the front, hold on to that so you don't change that. And then take these wires one at a time, bend it around, and holding the front wires in place. I'm going to bend that wire around the weave. And keep checking the angle of the wire and everything, so it's how you want it to sit. So I'm holding the wire again at the front. So we really need to pull on that wire to get it nice and tight around the weave. So now when you do it to this side, you really do want to match it up the best you can, really. So hold it at the front and bend them through as we just did for the other side. So when you're happy with the shape, bend the wires over to the other side. Always holding the shape at the front so it doesn't misshape it now. And press them down. And clip them off. And I'm just going to press them down. So that's the main part, and we just need to make the little dangle now. Take your other length of wire that you cut earlier, the shorter one, and your little stone, and you want to position your little stone in the middle of the wire. I've got it face down, flat side down on my finger there, and holding onto the stone, we're going to bend the wire around the stone. So now I'm just bending the one wire around the top of the stone. I'm going to turn it over. And this is a fiddly bit. You've got to bend this back wire go around, but you want to go over the edge of the stone, and it's hard to show you because you really want to keep it covered up with your finger so it doesn't pop out and shoot across the room. So keep going around, pulling that top wire back on because that slipped off a bit. And keep going around. And I'm just squeezing the wires together a bit there. So you've got this little loop at the back that holds the back in place, and then it goes around a couple of times and it comes around the front, and that's all it is that's holding the stone there. So if you were to yank on it with some force, you could pop the stone out. But if you're using a nice little stone, it tends to hold it quite well. If you're using a bigger stone, you've got more chance of losing the stone. But that's it really. So what I'm going to do now, both my wires have finished pretty much at the top there. So take my pliers. I'm going to bend this back wire up, straight up like that. So it takes a bit of fiddling and wiggling, and you're not going to do it first time, and you're going to get really frustrated with it, and then you're going to do it and you're going to be like, I've done it. So persist with it, because it's a nice little addition, and you can add it to anything really. So when you got to this stage, we're just going to take the front wire now, just making sure it's coming over the front of the stone there. And I'm going to take this wire around that wire at the back. And I'm doing everything really slowly, because if you force it, it's all going to go wrong. So nice and carefully, nice and gently. I'm really pleased I've done that first time, because I thought I'd have to have a few goes at that. It's not the easiest to do. So I'll cut that off there. And I'm just going to squeeze that so it's tight around that wire. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab that. I want it to sit like that. So I'm going to pull it forward. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm just going to bend it around the pliers to make a loop so I can attach it as a dangle. You can make any size loop you want, mine's quite tiny. And then I'm going to cut it at the bottom. And now I need another pair of pliers. So I'm going to pinch the end of that with my bent nose pliers, and then I'm just going to twist it. So I've opened it, and I'll put it on how I want it to sit, with the front facing forwards. And then I'm going to grab that tip again, bend it back into place. And there we have it. Cute little pendant. And you put your cord through the top there. So I've made these as a pair of earrings as well. So you really can do whatever you want. You could make it bigger, you could make it smaller. You could not put the bead on and miss that loop off altogether. You could always add a big jump ring here and add the loop to the jump ring. On the earring ones that I made, I've oxidised these. I've put a little jump ring on the top so that when I add the ear wires, which I haven't made yet, I'll add them to the jump rings. So there we have earrings, little opal stones. So those are oxidised. If you want to oxidise yours, I did do a video on oxidising. I'll add a link in the description below. If you want to leave it shiny, it's up to you. I hope you found this little tutorial easy to follow. Just a simple quick one for you today. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Please don't share images of the back when you're working from mine or anybody's tutorials really. It really does give the design away. So thanks to everybody for mentioning me when you do share your work online. I really appreciate it. Thanks everybody. Bye.